Hey there, everybody. Welcome back. Thanks for clicking on the video. I really appreciate it. I hope that if you like it, you'll hang out and, thumbs up and subscribe and all the fun things. Thank you for everyone who commented on my last video. All of the nice words and encouragement really means a lot to me, and I appreciate that, people are paying attention to things I'm going through. That feels really good. And sometimes it's just nice to hear, that you're doing okay. So I appreciate it. And I don't want to get too much into that because I don't want to cry any more than I have today. So I am excited. Today we're going to talk about 90 Day Fiance, Season 10, Episode 5, Committed in Matrimony. I'm not going to start with them because, okay. So we're going to go ahead and start with Nikki and Igor. Picking back up with her 48 hours to change her mind or she's leaving ultimatum. Does anybody really think she's serious? No, I don't. She's done with everything and him just making everything a joke. He tells her she's taking very serious steps. And she's like, well, yeah, I am serious. He tells us that she has a big heart but no patience. And she's pushing too much for loving, and his body is still trying to open up to her. He needs time for that. So basically he's still betrayed by her and she needs to slow down and build some trust, She says they didn't have these problems before. They had a great intimate life. They used to do so much together, and now it's just different. And I'm just thinking that this girl needs to stop living in 17 years ago and see things for what they are now. Both of them have grown and changed a lot, and you can't live in the past forever. He tells her to stop focusing on the love so much and just enjoy each other. And she's mad. She's like, well, you're supposed to be my future husband. And, he wonders why she's such a B word, but she's never been deprived sexually before. And he needs to do more than picking up roses that she ordered. She needs more, a lot more. And she says what's special about her is that she supports him financially. Well, duh. Then he gets pulled off to the side for his little interview. And he says he doesn't like when the Nikki starts talking about money and makes him feel bad about it. He says she does a lot in the relationship, that he feels like he does too. And how can you measure who does more? I'm like, well, that's spoken like someone who is on the good side of a one-sided relationship. He tells her, to her face, that she has sent him so little money, all he could get was gas. And he's like, try to survive on that. And he has money from his life, and she just helps him with little things. She's just in disbelief. She just keeps saying, really? And then, are you serious? And she's like, your nose alone was $7,000. And she thinks it's messed up to say that she helps him so little. And that nose aside, what about all the Western Unions? And he already knows the numbers, so she doesn't need to get the receipts. And I'm like, did you guys see her Barbie head earrings? I thought they were Teletubbies for a minute. Anyways, she is heated in her interview. She says that he knows darn well what she's done for him, and she hates that he's downplaying it and says she's done so little. She says that she has sent so much that if she posted the receipts, people would be like, wow. And she doesn't want to do that because she did it out of love. And he's like, yeah, I'll send you all the money back when I get a job. So this is his verbal IOU, I guess. She says, paying her back isn't the issue. And he says, you're talking about money. She says he can't work for a while, and she explains about the K-1 visa, how he can't work. And she's going to have to take care of him, and she knows how this works. I mean, it is their second time after all. And she's like, I just need you to say, baby, you helped me so much. And he's like, oh, that's what you want to hear. Duh. She doesn't want to hear, you barely give me any money. Plus, she shouldn't have to do that anyways. Like, you should be able to afford your own gas and your own nose. But she says that's what she wants to hear because it's the truth. Then they have an interview together. She tells him he never puts her first. She always has helped him when he needs it. And who does he think he is? He gets up, he walks away, and she's like, bye, little child. I was just thinking, like, ew. Who wants to be with this woman? She seems awful. She wants to know why everything is for you. And she says in his accent, babe, I want money to eat. I need money to work out. Babe, my car broke. And when she wants something, it's a big no. Just whatever he needs. Like, well, unfortunately, what you want isn't something that you can just demand from people. I mean, you shouldn't be able to demand money and things, but you can demand things sexually from someone without being a predator. So, yikes. But back at the park fight, because we're in the middle of 2 fights right now with them, she says that she should fly home. She isn't doing this. She can't wait for 3 weeks. She thought it would change. It hasn't changed. And she's not going to spend her life not happy. She tells him she expects more from him, and he just doesn't get it or know what to do. And she puts in 90%, and then he's like, well, I just think I'm too nice for you. He tells her to try to be nice for him. He tried to do nice things, and she says that those nice things aren't enough. And he tells her they need to learn each other. And he wants to stop fighting every day. It's just too much. And she should save her energy and power for their love. Then she's like, all right, they kiss and hug and make up. It just made no sense to me. She says that the thing with her is when they argue, she blows up from 0 to 100 or to 1,000. And her hormones play a role in that. But this has been bottling up for a while. She thinks he acts like a child when it comes to talking about intimacy. But that's not going to get them anywhere. They need to talk. They don't have a lot of time. But of course, she's still hopeful. Later, she decides to call her mom. Her mom compliments her hair bow because she likes it. And I was trying not to make fun of it. I wasn't going to say nothing because I already brought up the earrings. But her mom likes it. She likes it. Doesn't matter what I think. And her mom asks if everything's okay. She says they're good, but they're still working on things. And, they are having issues about the lack of intimacy. And her mom is like, well, were you civil in the conversation? Or did you go and yell and go 0 to 100? She's like, yeah, I probably did go 0 to 100 to 1,000. Then she says she took a hormone shot before this trip, and it's making her emotional. And that's what happens when she's trying to move through obstacles, but it's hard with a cold Russian man. Her mom asks her a question, and she wants her to answer honestly. And it's, what if she changes how she behaves towards him and try to be softer and patient and try not yelling? And the mom's like, you need to understand his side of it and how he's thinking, and she needs to let him adjust. She tells her mom she does think he's still adjusting, and she just wants to enjoy this time with him. And then we see them again. They're going on a date at night. So I was surprised about that. She says even though he knows how to push her buttons, she knows how to calm down and forgive him. It just might take a few minutes, but she's known him so long, she's comfortable with him, plus he's charming. So they sit down. She says she doesn't like things getting to where they went, and she's going to try to be more patient and calm, and he can try not to make jokes when she's upset. He agrees. They get their drinks, they cheers, they have some soup. They talk about plans for tomorrow. He says the gym, and that he's going to go when she's asleep. And she's like, no, I'm going to wake up, I'll go with you. He says he'll think about it, like maybe they can go to another gym. One better for people of different cultures. And she's like, why is that better than your gym? He says the ceiling is low in his gym, and the other gyms are bigger. And she thinks that the real reason is he knows everyone there, and he doesn't want them to talk. He's like, no, I found the best gym for people from other countries, and you'll feel more comfortable there. And then she says what I'm thinking, but she says it funnier. And she's like, is this the LGBTXYZ gym? And that's what I was kind of thinking. Like, is he setting her up for that? But then she says she changed her sex, so she's a woman, you know. She's not LGBTQ plus, I guess. And she still walks with her head held high, and people are always going to think what they want. But you have to be proud and confident in who you are and who you love. And that's true. And Igor was like, yeah, I need a drink after that. And then she's like, oh, I got clocked, which I believe means that they picked out that she used to be a man or she was trans or something. Because, like, she's talking so loud, and she said how she was born, and she said the people over there gagged. And he's like, do you think they can hear that? Hear us? She's laughing. She's like, of course. And then he says his choice isn't easy in this country. And she says she knows it's closed-minded. And he says he's in a different culture where people are narrow-minded against LGBTQ people. He says it's sad for him and that this is their opinion, and he understands and respects that, but he's nervous. She says, what is he doing? He's standing up. You know, he says he loves her regardless of what people think. He kisses her cheek, sits down, and he says he's hoping for them to open doors for people and help people be more open-minded. And she's seeing that he's more comfortable with her in public, and that's great, but she still needs sexy time. And she got him wine drunk enough now, so they're headed home. I think that she was talking so loudly about her gender identity and stuff she went through, so people would recognize that and give her attention. So she could point it out to him and he could, like, stand up for her or something. I'm feeling fishy about that. Let me know what you guys think. I'm starting to like her less by the second, so I'm hoping they don't make it too long so we don't have to watch this, because it feels predatory to me, and also he's taking advantage of her. Like, I would rather see real couples anyway. All right, everybody. It's the time that I've been waiting for. We meet a new couple, Clayton and Anali. I hope I said that right. But this is what I've been waiting for. We meet a new guy with his guinea pig. He has it dressed in a fire truck outfit. You know, that's cute. His name's Clayton. He's 30, and he's a cyber security analyst from Lexington, Kentucky. His other guinea pig is dressed with a French hat. I think it's called a beret. If that's wrong, please tell me. Oh, no. Someone help. Anyway, he has 2 guinea pigs. Baby Pig and Chocolate are the names. He tells us all their different noises. He's a guinea pig whisperer. And he also tells us he has 2 chihuahuas, Coco and Buster. And his last roommate is his mom. Her name is Violet. He says he's living in a 1-bedroom apartment, and his mom lives in the walk-in closet, so she can save to get her own place. And then she says she's lived there 3 years. As soon as she saw that closet, she knew it was hers. Like, I don't think she's saving up at all. She says it's just temporary, but maybe a little longer, but it's working out. Like, is this Colty and Debbie, but worse? And she's right in the walk-in. He tells us living with his mom is difficult. There isn't a lot of space, and it's going to get worse because in a few days, the love of his life, Annalie, is moving into the apartment. She's very pretty. They met on a language learning app. He says she visited his profile. She didn't say anything, so then he messaged her back like, oh, why didn't you say anything? And that's how that started. He says that she's pretty and talkative and sweet. And after, a few weeks of messaging, they caught feelings. And after 8 months, he flew to Peru to meet her. He loves that she's so thoughtful and affectionate. And after 4 days, he proposed to her. And then she said, "Aw," and then nothing. And she eventually said yes. And he hopes that she meant it and she didn't feel coerced. But either way, he wins. Him and his mom are trying to declutter the hoarder's ball going on over here. He says that his mom has a lot of stuff, and he's worried how Annalie would react showing up today. And I called it, because they're going through a box of wine corks. And he says he knows that his mom isn't a severe hoarder, but she has hoarding tendencies. He says that she's always hung on to things too long, and she doesn't even open most of the things. She just thinks they look cute. It's just too much. And then they play the guess how expired this food game is, and it was 2 years. Like, yikes, but it happened though. Like, my mom recently found, 5-year-old gravy packet in her drawer or something. Anyway, he says he doesn't want junk, and he's going to be throwing some things away. She says it's not junk to her. So they start gathering her weird collections, and he says he does understand, but they need room so they can live comfortably. Then they go to her storage, and it is packed to the brim with things. Just stuffed in there. Absolutely no order. Just, empty it and start over at this point. And I also just love how 90 Days bringing in all these ideas from other shows. We just recently got Catfish with Tyree, and now Hoarders with Violet. So he sees the storage, and he's like, yeah, it's worse than I thought. But we can shove this box in there. They're going to need to get another storage for this woman to fill. And then he gets a call from his lady, and he goes to take it. He tells his mom, just stuff these things in there. I'll be right back. He answers it. They're talking about her coming, how excited they are. She's all packed up. She's asking if there's going to be space for her when she arrives. And, I'm not exactly a professional, but it's not looking so good. And Mama's back there digging through her treasures. I bet they take more back with them than they put in. But he does tell her that they're organizing the apartment for her arrival. And he says he's worried she'll get there and see it and feel like she made a mistake. That might happen. You might have to get a whole new apartment. I think that mom is going to be living in that closet way after he moves out. So he does tell us that Annalie has no tolerance if something annoys her, and she's instantly going to let him know. And that scares him. But he doesn't know what to do other than clear space. So then we see him again. He's taking the guinea pigs to the vet. He brings them every 6 months because he knows his mom overfeeds them, and he wishes that she didn't. And he's worried about the guinea pig's weight. And then he's like, yeah, they eat these guys in South America. Actually, his fiance has eaten it, and they're delicious. Good thing Mama's fattening them up, I guess. And he says that she needs to stop thinking of the guinea pigs as breakfast and start thinking of them as family. But I'm like, well, I guess you guys can raise them to eat, just like chickens. He gets home, he tells us he's accustomed to the clutter and it can get exhausting, so he mostly stays in his room, and he pretty much spends all his time on the computer. He plays video games. He has over 21,000 hours on one game alone. They show his best friend of 13 years now that he met online, and they never met. And he doesn't really know why they haven't met, they just haven't. But he's okay with that. He doesn't really have a social life anyway. So they start talking about how Annalie will be there in a couple days. He starts to tell him how they've been together 2.5 years, and her dad doesn't even know he exists. His friend is like, oh, that's alarming. He's like, well, does she have a relationship with her dad? Do they talk? He's like, yeah, they talk an abnormal amount. He calls her 20 times a day. And he tells us he's been holding off talking to his friend Cameron about this because it just sucks that he feels like he's being hidden. And he's had that happen in the past, and he doesn't want to dig up old wounds talking about it. That always works for people. Just bury that down. It'll never affect you in the future. That ain't true. I'm learning. I'm learning the hard way. Anyways, I also wanted to point out that Thais had a hard time telling her dad she was marrying Patrick. So I wonder if that's just part of the South American culture. If you know, let me know. So, Clayton is, I hope that's his name. He's worried that she isn't proud of their relationship. And he says, well, she's been lying the whole time. Anytime they're on vacation, she says it's for work. And she said she's going to the U.S. for work, even though she's going to marry him. Cameron's like, well, you're spending your life with her, so why is she hiding you? He says her dad's overprotective. And he's like, you need to get this resolved ASAP, because that's going to be his family too. He says if they tell her dad, he might talk her out of coming, so he doesn't want to risk that. And Cameron's like, yeah, you need to do that before the marriage. Then he tells us that if she can lie to her family for years, she could, do it to him. And he doesn't want to fill his mind with these negative thoughts. He just wants to take her word. But he's an overthinker. I feel like this is going to get messy, guys. But I'm excited to see the antics with the mother. This is going to be rough for everyone involved, I think. Does everybody know what time it is? Gino and Jasmine time. Back at Gino's house, we're getting some close-ups of all the nasty dirt in his stove. And I just think he needs to call in like a professional cleaner one time. I know I wish I could. Anyways, Jasmine's itchy and she's red. And they have 84 days to get married. She summons Gino to the bathroom and tells him it's getting worse. He's like, what's getting worse? Her skin. What do you mean your skin? Like, how is he so clueless? So she tells him how she's so itchy. She's getting a rash. It started on her face. Now it's on her entire body. Gino's like, well, didn't this happen in Panama? She says it wasn't this itchy in Panama. He wants to know if she's allergic to something. Like, what did she eat? She's like, all I have is bread and peanut butter and oatmeal. And then he tried to blame the peanut butter. Then he says she ate too many almonds. She's like, it's not food. I told you I have sensitive skin and dermatitis. And it has more to do with, like, touching things or being exposed to something. Maybe the dust or the soap. He's like, nope, not the dust. If it was the dust, you would have been sick every day. So he's going to go check her almond consumption. She calls him an idiot, and I just got to agree here, even though I don't condone name calling. Gino tells us he would describe a dirty house like a hoarder home with garbage and piles everywhere. I'm like, yeah, we just saw that. Oh my gosh. He's like, my house doesn't look like that. I don't live like a slob. It's like, yeah, you do. She says she showed the doctor. He told her it isn't food, it's skin. And she says when she had that happen, she was on vacation. The place was dusty. And she thinks, like, his dirty-ass house is causing this. He's like, my house is clean. She disagrees. She pulls out Exhibit A. And he pulls out Exhibit A. And he's like, you ate almost a whole bag of almonds. And she's like, I'm not allergic to these. He says she was living in a dirty apartment with mice in it. And she's like, what mice? And I can't blame her. Like, he isn't listening at all, and she's itchy. Also, she could be allergic to the detergent. She's in Michigan, and it's cold, and even in Minnesota now, it's like the air's dry. Everybody needs to lotion up. So it could be the air. Like, there's other things. But I doubt it's the almonds. Also, like, the mice thing does not make you disgusting. I get mice every winter. Like, I've been getting them. And I have a terrible mice phobia. Like, I freeze. I start shaking. I cry when I see them. I have to buy these mice traps that, like, they're, like, you don't see them, you don't touch them. And I can't even pick those up. Anyway, that doesn't make you disgusting. Like I said, where I live, it's very cold. So they need to come in somewhere. Like, even my friends who have no kids, have a pristine house, they get mice sometimes. So I don't think that makes her apartment disgusting. And I have to believe that. Otherwise, I'm just going to think I'm disgusting. And we don't need to go down that road. So, anyways, she says he's disrespectful. Like, when have you ever seen her live in a place with a bathroom like this, all moldy and germy. And she gets that he was living alone, but now she's here, so forget about the allergic reaction for her to feel like it's home. She needs his help, like getting a new pillow and blankets, because that will help. And he's like, well, I'll buy you a pillow. My pillow's fine. Like, I think you need to replace everything because she'll be exposed to his pillow if she is allergic. And she says it's upsetting that he can't see how nasty his house is and that it's making her sick. Like, she's given up her life to be there with him, and they're supposed to be building a life that she can bring her kids into. So this is serious. So later he takes her to Michigan's finest store for new bedding. I don't know what store it was. But he says that she's feeling better. They went to urgent care and she got some big old allergy shots. And he's glad because she would have killed him. They could have tried buying some Benadryl maybe. But I'm glad she got the shots. Jasmine asked the salesperson her expert opinion on how often to change pillows. Because, she could have Googled it, but she thought the salesperson knows for sure. Anyway, this person is like, oh, I change mine every 6 months. Gino's like, I do it every 6 years. Like, at that point, it wouldn't even be a pillow. It would be a pad. And they have a good laugh, and the lady's like, yeah, let me know if you need anything. And she takes off. And then Jasmine gets distracted. She sees some kids betting. It reminds her of her son. He wants to be a soccer player. And she says it's going to be his birthday. And this is going to be the first one he will have without her. And she says she had to leave her kids, but she plans to bring them here once she's settled. And she's sure her and Gino are going to make it. She's getting emotional talking about it because she feels bad losing time with him, and she's scared about how long this is going to take, and what if they feel abandoned. She doesn't really want to cause them trauma, because he's such a good kid, and sometimes she feels like she doesn't deserve him. And she asks if she's a bad mom, and he says no, she's a good mom. He's seen that. He's been around. He's seen it. And he says it's a huge sacrifice for her to do this just for him. And that's true love. And he tells her things will get better soon. And he's like, you should video call him and show him the toys. And, they do. He answers. He shows her a drawing he did. She shows him the blankets and asks if he likes it. And he does. He says he wants a soccer birthday. And she says she will set it up and be there for him on the phone. And she says she's happy and excited to get her kids a visa, but she's worried the process will be delayed. She's trying to fight her negative thoughts, but it's hard. I am enjoying seeing this, motherly side of Jasmine, even though I think it's dumb that she left her kids. I'll never not think that. But it's nice seeing her, be a real person. And not, just fighting and nasty and yelling and being disrespectful. I mean, I'm not expecting it to last very long, but it was a nice little break. Alright, guys, next let's talk about Nick and Devin. They're walking along in a market. He tells her it's an expensive area. He says that after not seeing her for 2 years, the moment he saw her, he remembered why he fell in love with her. She sees, so they're walking along and she sees all the lights and the advertisements. And she realizes, she's not in Arkansas anymore. She can't read the signs or anything like that. He's nervous. She's nervous because if this is what he is used to, then he has a big 180 change. That might be kind of depressing for him. And he's like, I don't want to go to Cersei. Haha, it's a joke. But, these people, he's going to move to this little town in Arkansas without a community. But there's so many places in America they can just move if they want, where she would be close to her family and he could have a community. These people act like that's not an option all the time. It's annoying. Anyway, they stop for some chicken on a stick. And she talks about Korean food he's had her try, and she wasn't a fan of something made with the intestine, but she is a fan of spicy chicken on a stick. So they go have a seat. They talk about meeting his parents. They're going to meet them for dinner. He says the goal here is to get her parents' approval and go to the U.S. She's nervous because they don't speak the same language. He tells her how she should grab the drink and bow and not make eye contact when she's drinking. And this is just making her more nervous because there's a lot of table rules to remember. And what if she forgets one? It's just overwhelming. And she says she is nervous because she's taking him away from them. And he's like, yeah, my mom wasn't happy. She then asks an obvious question. Would his mom rather him marry a Korean girl? Duh. He's like, yeah, she mentioned that actually. She wasn't happy with him marrying an American. And she's like, well, you never told me that. She tells him no one wants to hear that her future mother-in-law wants her son to marry someone else. They worked hard to get here, and it would ruin things if his parents don't like her. So next we see them. They're waking up. The bed looks not broken. She's still tired from jet lag. And we find out she was indeed too tired to break the bed. And he passed gas in bed, and she kicked him out. And that sounds like me, because I hate that kind of thing. Anyway, she said she packed some clothes for meeting his parents, but she definitely wants her to help her pick. He says they're traveling from Seoul City to Daejeon, where he grew up, and she's going to meet his parents and his sister and her kids. Then she's showing him her very beige wardrobe, and he says his parents don't know much about her, but they think American women just do one-night stands and party. But she doesn't do that. He hopes. But he is crossing his fingers that it'll go well, and she knows it'll be a train wreck. So she picks out a brown coat, a white shirt, and some jeans. And he tells her that's good enough. And she's like, well, is it good enough or good? And he's like, it's good. I like it. He tells her the travel plans and that his parents will meet them at the station. And they're off. She's nervous because she doesn't speak Korean. And she's shy. And then they're just sitting on the train riding to Daejeon, admiring apartments. They discover that where he's from, they have too many people and not enough land. And where she's from, they have too much land and not enough people. And an hour later, they arrive. He tells us his dad isn't very friendly, and his mom's a serious Korean woman. And he knows that Devin can be overwhelmed. And when that happens, she cries, and they won't like that. And he can't go without their blessing. I wish just one time someone would be like, I'm not supposed to do this without their blessing, but it's what I want to do. So since you flew to Korea, even without their blessing, I'm going to go. I understand it's a culture thing, but sometimes a little reassurance goes a long way. And that would boost her confidence for meeting them. Like, well, even if I mess this up, he'll still love me. That would be nice. Alright guys, I saved the worst for last. Rob and Sophie. They're in jammies, and he keeps asking her if she wants coffee. She's not responding. They have 86 days to get married. She says she feels better now that she slept. He says he's been thinking all night, and they need to figure this out. So they go outside to talk. He says there's no version of his future that he doesn't have a family, so she should be with someone who doesn't want kids. Imagine not having value to someone if you can't have kids. And actually, if she wasn't pretty, she wouldn't have value to him either. Like, you can adopt, you can get a surrogate. There are other options nowadays. So they have a seat. He says it's a big reality for him. Big reality check for him. And that it's not up to him. He wants to know what she's thinking. And, he just says it's a big deal for him. He's always wanted to be a parent. And he asked her if she wants to be one. She says it's not that she doesn't want kids. She wants to make sure she has her life together. She doesn't want them while she's still trying to figure things out. She just got to America and she's trying to sort that out. So taking care of someone else is the last thing she's worried about. So she's making all these other excuses to deflect from the medical stuff at first. He says he doesn't know what he would do in his future without a family. And it's like, well, if they get married, they are a family. She said she never said that. You didn't ask me anything. You just ran off to play hoops. She says the problem is pregnancy, and he still hasn't asked her anything about that, which is true. He's had this information all night, all morning. He never once asked her. He doesn't care. He's a selfish, you know what. No good, dirty, rotten, selfish mofo. That's what he is. He's like, yeah, I'm trying to figure out what you're trying to say. Well, a good way to do that is to, ask. But I feel like he's afraid of the truth. She says if someone you love has health problems, you would ask them about that. You would ask them about it. You wouldn't be like, okay, whatever. Let's talk about what I want, which is kids. He says, tell me what you're afraid of about being pregnant. Then she says when she was 15, she had a cyst removed from her ovary. And she just accepted the fact that she doesn't want to be pregnant after that because she could have died or not been able to have kids if she didn't have it taken care of. So that made her feel like she can't carry a child or be a mom. And she really should go to a doctor about this someday to just find out for sure. She tells Rob that it hasn't been an easy journey and it still causes problems. And she knows pregnancy could cause a problem. It's not that she just doesn't want to be a mom. He says he doesn't want to walk her into a life she never saw for herself. And she doesn't want to, then she resents him for it. He says he doesn't want to feel like he's making her just do it. Because that's what she wants. Or because it's what he wants, it's important to him. Since when? Since when does he not want her to do things just because he wants them? As long as it isn't indoor plumbing, I feel like he's making her live there without a bathroom out of spite to, bring her down to earth. She says kids isn't the problem, it's pregnancy, and she's willing to work with him on a solution for it. I'm why? He's a jerk. He doesn't deserve that. It took him almost a day to ask about your health issues, and he didn't even ask. She had to ask him and tell him. But she's like, the two options are adoption and surrogacy. Dang, I'm good. I figured this out 5 minutes ago. And she asked if he's going to consider them. And he's like, well, I would like to raise a little me, so surrogacy sounds like what he would want. She says she'd be okay with that. And how selfish. I'm not adopting no kid. I need a little me. He tells her to search her soul and to understand what she wants regardless of what he wants. She says she wants to be with him. He says, they can explore more options. And he feels like they can move forward. So as long as that's what she really wants, they're going to be okay. The man can't even afford heat in his car, but he's going to talk about surrogacy. So later we see Sophie. She's video calling her mom. Her mom says she does feel like she's hard on Rob, and she thinks it's because he looks at her like she's speaking a different language, or he thinks she's crazy, and that's why she doesn't like him. She tells her mom that she appreciates that, but they just had a huge fight. She tells her about the whole pregnancy thing. Her mom is like, how has this not come up before? Their families can't believe this. She tells her about the surrogacy option, but she doesn't know what to do. The mom is like, well, do you want kids, or is this just for him? Think about it. Everyone knows that she only wants it to do this for him. She says because she doesn't want to be pregnant, she never thought about it. But she's a people pleaser, but it's her life, and she's not going to people please. And she doesn't want to resent kids. She says the surrogacy concept is new, so she really needs to think. She doesn't want to say yes and not want a kid, and if she says no, he's going to leave. So moving on, she's getting dressed. She tells us she goes to the club a lot at home. He says you just go to the club when you're single. But he has a woman now, so he isn't thinking about it. Plus, it opens up the room for problems. And she's like, well, you can have fun with me. She says she's never been to an LA club. He says he barely goes because it's expensive. It's like $100 to get in. But wherever they're going tonight, Rob's friend from the dating app will be there, and she's nervous. She knows he's been in Rob's ear about her. Rob says that he's on the fence about her now since that incident. She says she invited Soraya, who she met on the app at the same time. So that's proof she was on the friend side. But I'm like, well, not if you put interested in men and women. But we'll see. He talks about how long it takes for her to get ready. He says he should watch a movie to not suffer so much. He waits, and then at the end of the movie, he can start to get ready. These guys are just haters on how long it takes women to get beautiful, I guess. They arrive to meet the friend. They're late. The friend, Torai, tells us that he's protective of Rob and he's going to be keeping an eye on her and questioning her. He's like, oh, you meet any friends while you're here? She says no. Rob's like, well, you have a friend coming tonight, though. And Torai's like, oh, where'd you meet this friend? She's like, when I came the first time on the Friends dating app. He's like, oh, a Friends dating app. She says that's where she meets all her friends. He says he didn't know that they make Friends dating apps. He thought they were just dating apps. The friend calls it out and says, if you're meeting a girl on a dating app, he would think that you were into girls. And he can tell she's avoiding the tough questions that he's trying to ask. Then she tells him about the best friend mode on the dating app. Like, why not just pull it out and show him? Like, look, best friend mode. The friend doesn't know what to believe because women can come up with crazy stuff. It's happened to him. He's trying not to project. But then her friend shows up. She says she's known Sophie for 2 years. They like to hang when she's in town. And they go in and they get drinks. They ask Soraya right away how they met. And she says the friend side and she isn't into girls. Like, that made it awkward. Sophie felt it made it awkward because none of them know that she's bi, but she was on the app for friends. Rob's friend apologizes for being wrong. She says she's still on the friends app side. Like, why didn't she just show him? And as long as she isn't doing anything against Rob, it's okay. But she does need to tell him soon about her sexuality. But that doesn't matter anymore because the next thing we know, Sophie's crying. She called producers to say she moved out of his place. She rented her own apartment. She said she needed to get away from him, his dog, his house, his life. So she went there to get away and have space. They asked what caused this. She said that she had a dream that he cheated, and so she checked his phone, even though she never does. She did that because she had a dream, and she found this app. And he's been getting nasty videos and nude photos from all these women. She told him she found the videos and he needs to drop her off because she doesn't want to talk to him. She took what she could and left. She threw the ring in a bush or wherever. And they show a video from a day earlier. She's telling him he hurt her again. He says he's trying to be perfect, but he isn't. And he's not trying to be with anyone. Well, like, excuse me, but I think not cheating doesn't make someone perfect. Like, that's a low bar of perfection. Like, you're perfect if you don't cheat. No. And then he's yelling at her about how he wants her in his life. 5 seconds into this, and I'm just sick. She said, explain the messages then. And she's seen them, and she doesn't care what he says. She tells us no wonder he doesn't ask her for these kinds of, like, things. Photos, videos, because he's getting them all over the place. And she just thinks he's disgusting, and she doesn't want to be near him. She says no one wants their partner getting turned on by someone else, and she feels like getting videos and doing that with other people is cheating, and maybe some people don't think that, but to her it is disrespectful and it's cheating. I'm with her, and also everyone has their own definition of what cheating is. That's why you should have conversations. What do you consider cheating? Hey, do you want kids? Those kind of things, you know? She says that he did it before and she almost broke up with him. He was going back and forth with people, getting each other. They were like having like video phone chat sex, I guess is the best way I could say it, together. So she told him never to do that again. And what did he do? He did it again. And if she was home, she would just leave. But where is she supposed to go? She's got no one, no job, no friends. She's in a house she rented because she has nowhere to go. She doesn't even have a staff. But at least she has a toilet. And now if she doesn't marry him, she has to leave and have nothing. You know, she doesn't want to throw away the life she tried to build with him, aka her green card. And he gets to carry on his life with no consequence, like nothing happened. I hope she goes home. But I think what she was trying to say here is like she gave up her life. She's moving here. She told, all her family she's moving here from London. And for her to go back, first she'd be embarrassed. She'd have to like face everyone. But she also has to rebuild a life. Nothing changes for him. He's in the same apartment. He's doing the same things. All that stuff. I think that's what she meant. But now she feels trapped and alone, and she doesn't know what to do because he's all that she has. And she's just crying because she really doesn't know what to do now. I wish I could give her a hug. That sucks. My advice there is go home. Leave him. This is the second time. Don't wait for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You do that, you end up with twins down the line and alone anyway. No. Just kidding. I didn't mean to be dramatic, guys. But, you don't settle for these things because they don't get better. So, I know we're probably going to see another conversation with them at least, but I hope that us seeing these new couples later that she might actually go home because she definitely deserves better than this guy. All right, well, thank you guys for hanging out with me and sticking it out and listening to the end. I appreciate all of you. I hope you guys have a good week and a good day. Don't forget to take deep breaths. I was trying to think if I was going to say anything else, but I'll probably remember right when I stop recording. Typical Leslie. Yeah, anyways, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I should be back very soon with the Other Way videos. I think I'm just going to go ahead and do both episodes in one video for the last time again. Because then I might have a couple days to just breathe until Sunday. That might be nice. It might do wonders for my anxiety. So yeah, anyways, I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out. I'll talk to you later. Bye.